Hi guys, so we are back at it again. Today we'll be doing February-March 2022 and it's from set 42. I'm not feeling very well, but hopefully I can complete this paper. Okay, just to let you know, the marking scheme is not out yet. So all these answers that are written down is just based on my own calculation. So if you notice anything wrong, feel free to let me know in the comment. And also a shameless plug here. So if you're interested in our group class, okay, you can fill up the Google form down in the descriptions. And please remember to put in your country code, else I couldn't reach you out directly. Okay, so that's all. Let's get started with our paper here. Okay, a company employed 300 workers when it started and now employ 852. Find the numbers of increase. So there's a formula for this, which is new minus by the old amount of workers and then divide by the old amount. Okay, to convert it into percentage, please remember to multiply it by 100. So over here, 852 minus 300, divide it with 300 and multiply with 100. So you will get 184% as your final answer. For part B, 852 workers, okay, part-time against full-time is 5 to 7. So kindly find the total ratio first. Okay, total ratio will be by taking 5 plus 7, which is 12. And to find the amount of full-time workers, you have to take 852 times the ratio specifically for full-time workers, which is a 7, and then over 12. Okay, then you'll be able to get your answers here. 852 times 7 divided by 12, you will get 497 of them. Moving on to section 3, the company makes 40,600 headphones in a year. Write it in words. So I can write 40,000, okay, 600. Okay, and then to write it into standard form means that you're required to shift. Let's say the dot was here, okay, right behind the 600. So you 1, 2, 3, 4. You shift it 4 times to make it 4.06 times 10 to the power of 4. That's how you get section C sorted out. Moving on to part D, in 1 month, the company sells 3,000 headphones and 48% are exported. 3 over 8 are sold to the shops and the rest are sold online. So calculate the numbers of headphones that are sold online. So 3,000, okay, 48 is exported, which means you only have a balance of 52% left. And then out of this 62, 3 over 8 are sold to the shop. And then the rest are sold online. Okay, so let's run our calculation here. So 3,000 times 52%. Okay, just to let you know, the remaining fraction here should be 5 over 8. So how do I get this 5 over 8, you might ask? It's actually by taking 1 minus 3 over 8. Okay, so from this 52%, I minus 5 divided by 8. 52% times 5 over 8. So you will get 975 sold online. So the workings goes by 3,000 times 52% times 5 over 8. Okay, that will be my answers here. Moving on to the last part, 1 year sales increased by 15% and then following years increased by 18%. Find the overall percentage increase in sales. So kindly take note, this is original. Okay, what did I just did? Okay. Original was 100%. Then this is the first year. it now becomes 115%. And then in the second year, okay, from 115, it increased by another 18%. Okay, so let's double check. 118% times 118%. Okay, and then make it into 100. So you will get your second year's results as 135.7%. So that's how I will sort out our section E here. Okay, very similar to paper from 2017. And also it will utilize some of your concepts from your accounting. So those who take accounting will have advantage here. Okay, moving on to section 2, they ask us to illustrate it out by substituting the values correctly. So negative 0.75 being squared minus 1 over 3, negative 0.75. So through this calculation here, you will get your results as 1. Okay. Because all of the results here are rounded to 1 decimal place requested by the question. Okay, if that's the case, I don't have to do anything, just key in 1.0 will do. When it was being updated to 5, however, so let's change it up. You have a result of 0.9 after correcting it to 1 decimal place. So with this information, we can now draw it out. Okay. So the part that is more than 0 has been illustrated for us. So we're only doing the balance here. When it's negative 2, it's 4.2, which means it's somewhere around here. When it's negative 1.5, it's 2.5. When it's negative 1, it's 1.3. And then what do we have? When it's negative 0.75, it was 1. And then when it's negative 5, it was 0.9. And then when it is negative 0.1, it is 3.3. And I miss out on one of it, which is 0.25. Oh, this part here, I think I do it wrongly. The 1 should be here, 7.5. Then 0.25 is at 1.4. Okay, so this is how it should look like. So let's sketch it out and see the overall shape. Okay, so your one last step is to extend this all the way closer but never touches to Y. Okay, so this should be your final answer here for section B. Okay, by drawing a suitable line on the grid, solve the equation. So for this type of question, you have to adjust your formula given accordingly. So they gave us, this was the original equation, y equals to x squared minus 1 over 3x. And then you will notice that there was excess here. So with the moment when you throw this away from positive 1, when it arrived at the other side, it becomes negative 1. So what they wanted you to do is to draw a line at y equals to negative 1 and check the intersection. So when y is negative 1, the intersection only have one result, which is this one here. Okay, so let's double check answers. When you connect it to this part and then join it all the way up, the answer should be 0.1, 0.2 and 0.3 here as your final x value. Okay, so that's how you sort out this question 2 here. Moving on to part 3. Okay, this is a function question. So let's proceed to solving it first. Remember, always sort out the ones inside. So this one tells us that we are dealing with 4 times 3. So you have 13 in total. So when G is 13, all you have to do is calculate 13 square. You will get 169, it's not mistaken. Okay, this is how you get it done for your 3A number 1 here. As for the other one, they want you to substitute gx into this. Okay, so you have 1 plus 4 x squared. So your final answer will be 1 plus 4x squared, and it is done. So for the next one, it's very special. We don't have to do any calculation. They told us that the value inside the brackets was just x, so your answers will be x only. You don't have to run any calculation. So to help you understand, if the question used this, and then they put 2x plus 3, then your answers will be 2x minus 3 here. Okay, sorry, I'm not feeling very well. So some of the things that I do here, I might overlook it. So if you notice anything wrong, just let me know in the comment section. Question B, fx equals to 15. So just put in 1 plus 4x equals to 15. When you adjust it accordingly, you should get 14 here. And 14 divided by 4, you will get 7 over 2 at the end. Or you can write it as 3.5 if you wanted to. Okay, that's it. And then we are now at question 4A here. They ask us to calculate the angle value of ABC, which is this one in particular. So I will be using sine rule here. And then you have 35.3 on the other side. And then sine ABC that they were looking for. And then 29.5. So by running your calculation, you basically cross multiply them. And then to find your angle ABC, all you have to key in is sine inverse. Okay, and then you will have sine 51.6. Okay, bracket it up, multiply it with 29.5, and then divide it with 35.3. So you should be able to identify your results using this. Remember to close out the brackets before you multiply the 29.5. Okay, then you'll be able to get your answers as 40.9. Okay, this is after correcting it to 1 decimal place. Moving on to the next one, calculate the area of this ABC here. Okay, all you have to do is use your half AB sine C formula. So the sides that I'm using is this 2 and the angle that they gave us. So just key in 29.5, key in 45, and your sine 51.6. Then you should be able to get your results. Okay, so your final answer on this will be 520.2 after correcting it to 1 decimal place. But question like area, you can actually make it into 3 significant, so you can leave it as 520 as well. So this is what I would write as my final answer. Moving on to section B. Okay, they ask us to calculate SR now. Okay, and then with this very limited information, okay, we will need at least SQ here in order to run our cosine rule to identify SR. Okay, so to find your SQ, okay, it should be square roots of 32 square plus 32 square minus 2, 32, 32, and lastly a cosine 56. Okay, just key in this and double check your answers. Okay, you will get your results as 30.04618000183, which is approximately 30.0 if you were to correct it to 3 significant figures. But if you wanted to avoid premature roundings, you can actually leave it as 30.05 first. Okay, personally, I will avoid premature roundings and use 30.05 instead. So to calculate SR again, okay, same thing, another cosine rule, but this time around with the 30.05 that we identified, alongside with the 47 there. Okay, and then run your calculation. Okay, so you get your final answer as 41.22684198.432, which is approximately 41.2 after correcting it to 3 significant figures. Okay, and then they ask you to calculate the shortest distance from P to SQ. So our P here to SQ means that they want you to draw out a line here and then try to identify this. Okay, before you even calculate, kindly take note, since you notice it was 32 on both sides, which means the balance angle here should be exactly the same. So just take 180 minus it by 56 and divide it by 2. You get 62 degrees on each side. And this information here will help you to identify the results that you want. Because by having this 62 at the corner, okay, and then you have 32 here, okay, to this angle, this is it opposite, and this is hypo, which means we can use sine 62. Okay, opposite is the distance that we wanted to find, and then just find your OPP by taking 32 times sine 62. Okay, so your final answer will be 28.3 after correcting it to 3 significant figures. But if you wanted to show your teachers the full results, you can write this down first. Okay, then only you round it up into the arrangement that you wanted, which is 3 significant figures here. Okay, so that's how you get part B number 2 sorted out. So we are not halfway through yet, but almost there. Let's look at question 5. Estimate the mean of the mass. So for this, kindly take note, you will need a midpoint. Okay, so to get the midpoint, here should be 25, here should be 75, 150, and 700, 350. So you might wonder how I get this. So for the first one, you take 50 plus 0 and then divide it by 2. So repeat the same steps for the rest that to identify your midpoint. So to calculate the mean, take the midpoint times 43. This is the first one. Then 75 times 31. 150 times 25. 350 times 21. Okay, divide this entire thing. Okay, with our total frequency of 120. You don't have to calculate this because it was given by the question up here. Okay, so just run your calculation. 25 times 43. 75 times 31. 150 times 25. 350 times 21. Okay, divided by 120, you will get your answers as 120.83. Okay, so if you wanted to write 120.8, you can do so, but preferably I will leave it as 2 decimal place because it is a mean calculation. Okay, so Araj draw a histogram to show the following information. He makes the first bar height of 17.2. So this thing here is basically your frequency density. Okay, so to get to your frequency density, you have to take your frequency divided with the class interval. So when you key in 43 divided by 50, you will notice that it doesn't match up with the 17.2 here, which indicates that there was a scale factor involvement. Okay, kindly take note, this scale factor, if it's here in the first one, then for the rest of your calculation, you have to multiply it in. So to identify the scale factor, you have to take 17.2 divided with your 0.86. Okay, you will get your scale factor here as 20, which means for the rest of the group, you have to multiply 20 in your calculation. So for next one, between 50 to 100, okay, you have to take 31 over 100 minus 50. And remember to multiply 20 into it. Okay, so you get 12.4 centimeters. For the next group, the gap was 100. So 200 minus 100 is 100. 25 and then times 20 into it. Okay, you get your answers as 5 centimeters. And then the last one, between 200 to 500, this group here will have an interval of 300. So 21 times 20 divided by 300. So final answer here will be 1.4. Okay, so with this information, you can... Oh, they didn't ask us for frequency density graph, but instead they asked us for cumulative frequency. So between this, for the first section, you just refer to this. It should be 43. Then for the next one, kindly take note, you are taking both the 43 and 31, you add it together. Okay, you will get it as 74. Then from 74, you add another 25, it will be 99. And then the last one, when you add 21 in, make sure that it matches up with 120 letters, which is this. So that's how you get it sorted out. And they want us to transfer this information into the graph space that they gave us here. So at a mass of 50, we have 43 here. So we have to find out where's our 43. Okay. Each box is 2. So it's somewhere around here for 43. Then moving on to 74. 70 is here. Going up is 74. Continue to 99. 200 is at 99 now. So somewhere around this. And then the last one. At 500, it is 120. So your graph should look something like this. Okay, try to draw it out as accurate as possible. So this should be it. Let's move on and check what did they ask at the bottom. They first asked for median. So kindly take note that median means that from the 120 that we have there, you have to multiply it by 50%. You get 68. So from 60, you trace it down, you'll be able to get your median's results, which is approximately 70. Okay. And then for upper quartile means you have to take 120 times 75%. It should be 90. Okay, just let me double check. Okay, at 90th, when you trace it down, the results will let you to 112, I suppose. Okay, we'll pass through 110 and then go up by 2 more. So this will be 112. Okay, and then for 40th percentile means that you have to take 120 times 40%. And then let's check the results here. Okay, we get it as 48. So at 48, you trace it down to find the results. So this will tell us the answer is around 55. Okay. And the last part here, the numbers of letters which with a mass of 250 to 400. So let's check it out. From here, 250 is this, all the way up to 400. So when we trace it up, okay, I'm using this highlight to show you. Okay, so when we touches all the way up here, like what they wanted, and then to this section. Okay, there should be two answers involved, which is this part. All the way it was worth around 106. And for the top one, it's somewhere around here. That is actually 110, 106, 117. So between this 117 to 106, okay, 117 minus 106, then you get your answers as 11. So this is my answers here, but kindly take note, your answers will change based on the graph that you have drawn. So if your graph is not exactly same as mine, plus minus 1 or 2, it's fine. Okay, there will be acceptable range in your marking scheme. Okay, so don't worry about it. Let's move on to the next question. Question 6, interior angle of a regular polygon is 156. So the keyword here was regular. Okay, which means the formula that I can use would be 9 minus 2 times 180 divided with n, and you get to 156. So through your calculation, you get 180n minus 360 equals to 156n. And then 180 minus 156. Okay, you will get your results as 24n equals to 360. And then take 360 divided with 24, and you get your answers as 15. Okay, so that's pretty much it for question 6a here. Moving on to the next one, kindly take note, okay, because we involve two radius here, which means that I also know this angle here on the other side will be 52 as well. So 180 minus 52 twice. Okay, you will get 76 as your balance here. And kindly take note, we are using angle from the center is twice the value of angle at the circumference. So this ACB here, if you wanted to calculate it, you have to take 76 divided by 2. So that will get you 38 as your final answer. Okay, so keyword radius. If you didn't find that or didn't notice it was isosceles, then you won't be able to solve this. Okay, moving on to section C, they were asking for PTR. Okay, PTR here, you can actually identify it using your cyclic quadrilateral. Okay, this angle here is because it's a straight line. So you can actually key in 180 minus 112. You get 68 here. And this 68 and the opposite side, okay, because I'm dealing with this big quadrilateral here that touches all four corners. Okay, when they add up with each other, okay, it becomes 180. So you take 180 minus 68, you get 112 again here. So kindly take note, there was actually another cyclic quadrilateral here as well, which means this 112 here will be added up with this to form another 180, which means that we are dealing with 68 degree as well. Okay, if you don't want to use this concept, there was another options here, which is angle from the same segment. If you notice, the starting and ending point are the same. Okay, this is the first route, then the second route was here. Okay, you can use angle from the same segment for this. So our PTR here is 68, and then we can move on to our last question from G, K, and M lines on the circle. Center of origins, okay. FGH is a tangent, so they told us this. Okay, and then since there was radius there, we can say that this here is a 90 degree. And the other things that I noticed was that this part here, KMG is also a 90 degree because of you can use alternate segment theorem, or you can mention that it was angle from the diameter will form 90 degrees. So you can mention that our OGH is equals to angle KMG. Okay, reason behind is they are 90 degree. So one of it, the reason was tangent and radius connected. And for KMG, the reason behind was angle from the diameter or alternate segment theorem. Then the other things that you have to point out was that they are parallel. Okay, so you can talk about OH being the same size or similar to MG. OH is parallel to MG. Okay. And then one final result. What else can you talk about? I will say that, okay, our angle HOG is equals to angle MGO. Okay, this is your alternate angle. So with this, it will fulfill the ASA qualification, which you managed to prove them as similar. Okay, this is the things that I pointed out, okay, for you guys to see lah. So these three things will help you to make geometrical reasons for this question. Moving on to question 7, they use the terms mathematically similar. Okay, find the width of the larger frames. Kindly take note, one of them are areas, and then area of the smaller one is 350. So I'll put a square root there to cancel off the areas effect, and then 17.5 at the bottom. Same goes to the other one, 1134, and then an unknowns here. So 1134 multiply it with 17.5, and then to find your final answer, you have to take it and divide it out. So square root 1134 times 17.5, and then divide with 350. Your final answer for this will be 31.5. So this is actually your mathematically similar methods. So the one that I'm using here is the comparison way. Moving on to section B. The picture in the small frames has a length of 15 centimeters and a width of 10.5. Both are corrected to nearest 5.5 millimeters here. So you have to find your rounding value by converting this into 0.5 cm first. Okay, and then your 0.5 cm will be divided by 2. Okay, this will be your rounding values, and you have to decide to find upper bound whether you should plus or minus here. So I know it's plus minus 0.25. Okay, and then you can proceed with your calculation. Now by identifying the area, 15 plus 0.25. Okay, multiply that out with 10.5 plus 0.25. So your final answer will be 6.375 at the end. Moving on to section C. In the sales, the price of a large frame reduced by 18%. So party only pays 116.05 for 5 large frame. Find the original price of 1 large frame. So per piece, it was reduced by 18%. Okay, so to find one of it, first thing first, you must know how much of the original were you paying. So if you were to run the calculation, you get 82%. So if you wonder where this 82 comes from, it's actually 100% minus 18%, then you get to 82. And the other thing was, before I even find the original, I will take this 166.05 divided by 5 first. Okay, by doing so, you'll be able to identify one large frame's sales price. So from the original, you pay 82% of it, then you get to the price per piece. So 166.05 divide it by 5 first, and then divide it with 82%. So we know that the original price of one large frame was 40.5 each. Okay, that's how you simplify the entire calculation here. Okay, moving on to section D. Party advertised a large frame's price for 57 or 48.2 euros. The exchange rate was $1 to 0.88. Find the difference in price in dollars. So you don't have to change the 57 anymore. Your only task was to convert the 48.2 into dollars. So to do that, you will divide it with 0.88. Okay, you will get it as 54.77 cents. Okay, and then to find the difference, you have to take 57 minus 54.77. So you get 2 cents of $2.23 as your difference here. So that's pretty much it. Moving on to section 8. Okay, we are finally at the last part of this calculation. There's only a few more to go. Darpins runs a distance of 12 kilometers and then cycle a distance of 26. His running speed is 8 kilometers per hour and his cycling speed was 10 kilometers per hour faster than his running speed. It takes a total time of 2 hours and 48 minutes. As expressions, Darpins takes to run the 12 kilometers was 12 over x. So 12 over x. Okay, distance divided by speed, you get to the time. Okay, and then cycling was 10 kilometers faster than his running speed. So running speed, they mentioned that it was a 26 kilometers. So you have run 12 kilometers, which means you only have a balance of 14 here. So 14, and then you take your x plus 10, and it becomes 2 hours and 48 minutes. So this 2 hours and 48 minutes, preferably you make it into fraction form. Okay, so that it's easier for you to calculate this. Okay, the 48 minutes is the key. Okay, if you wanted to change the 48 into hours, 48 divided by 60, then you get 0.8. So then only you will write down it is actually 0.8 hours instead. Okay, the tips here is to convert them into the same unit. So for your speed whatsoever, they are all using hours, so you're required to change this up. Okay, then they ask us to simplify the equation. Okay, so let's mix it up first. So you have x plus 10. So the 12 will be multiplied with x plus 10. The 14 will be multiplied with x. Then you have 2.8 here. Okay, from this calculation here, you can then run your simplification. 28 minus 12 and minus 14. You have 2x left. And then minus 120. So your task was to make it into 7. I take the first one as an indicator. So I decided to divide everything by 2.8 first. So divide it by 2.8. Okay, with this entire thing. So I get to x squared. 2 divided by 2.8. You will get 5 over 7. And then 120 divided by 2.8. You get it as 300 over 7. Okay, and then to make them into 7x squared, you now multiply 7 into it. Okay, on the entire thing, kindly take note. Then you get to 7x squared plus 5x minus 300 as requested by the question here. Okay, there must be some miscalculation. Okay, I know why. They mentioned it was cycle distance of 26. Okay, so I did it wrongly for the first part. Here for the distance should be 26. So with this 26 adjusted, then you should be able to get your calculation. Okay, all these are because of me not reading the question carefully enough. Okay, you have negative 10 here. So from this negative 10 divided with 2.8, you will get negative 25 over 7. Okay, when you multiply the 7 in, that's how you get to negative 25. So please pay attention. They mention cycle distance of 26. Don't make the same mistakes as me. Moving on to the last part. Using a quadratic formula, so you must show your workings. You don't have a choice. Negative 25 plus minus b squared, which is negative 25 here, minus 4 times 7 times negative 300 over 2a. So you got 7 minus 25 minus 300. Then you get your answers here as x equals to, okay, they want us to use formula, so you must show all the possible steps here. 25 being squared minus 4 times 7 times negative 300. So you get 95 for this, and then divide it with 14. So 25 plus 95 divide 14, you will get it as 60 over 7, or when it is 25 minus 95 divided by 14, you will get negative 5. Okay, but kindly take note, speed will never be negative. That's why for it to run the 12 kilometers, we have to take 60 over 7 here as your x. Okay, so this here is actually 12 over x from the previous calculation. 12 divided with 60 over 7, you should get your answers as 1.4 hours. And in 1.4 hours, okay, to change it into minutes, you have to multiply 60 to it. That will make it 84 minutes. So that's how you get this D sorted out here. Moving on to question 9, okay, paper cone with a radius of 2.4 is 95.4 centimeters cubed. The paper is cut along the side of the slant and then open up. Find the sector area. So things to take note is that they will actually share the information here. Okay, there's a few things that you have to find. First one is the height, because with this height here, you'll be able to identify your radius. Okay, this one should be shared. So from the information that they gave, you have to key in 1 over 3 times pi times 2.4 square, and then times the height equals to 95.4 first. So take your 95.4, divide it with 1 over 3, divide it with pi, divide it with 2.4 square. Then you will get your H results as 795 over 16 divided by pi. Okay. Yeah, should be correct. So moving on, with this information, you can now identify your radius by using this information. Take your 2.4 and square it, and then add it up with this 795 over 16 pi, and then square. Okay, so your radius here should be 4.64. Okay. And then with this information, what to do next will be identify your AB here. Because other than this, they also share the value of the arc length. So this is by calculating 2 times pi times 2.4. So we actually get 4.8 pi. Okay. So with this information sorted out, we can now write x over 360 times 2 times pi times 4.64, and it should be resulting in 4.8 pi. So to get your x, you have to take 4.8 pi divided by 2 divided by pi divided by 4.64 and then multiply with 360. 4.8 pi divided by pi divided by 2 divided by 4.64 multiplied with 360. You will get your x degree as 186.2. Okay, you can actually double check now. Taking 1.186.2 divided with 360 times 2 times pi times 4.64. See whether it becomes our 4.8 pi or not. So 4.8 pi, when you key it in, okay, it's 15 point something, which means it matches up. So this will be your final answer here. Moving on to the next part, a fuel tank, okay, is used cylindrical pipes with a diameter of 8 centimeters. Okay, fuel flows along the pipe at a rate of 20 meters per second. It takes 24 minutes to fill up the tank. Calculate the capacity of the tank. Give your answers in liters. Okay, so they gave us a diameter, which means you can calculate the area first. Okay, the radius was just 4, so it will be pi r squared, which is 16 pi. This is the area of the cone. And then 2 meters per second, which means it's 200 centimeters per second. And in 24 minutes, okay, there will be 24 minutes, and then each minute there was 60 seconds. Okay, and then to convert this entire results into liters, you have to divide it by 1000, because in default 1000 cm cube is 1 liters. Okay, so just run your calculation. 16 pi times 200 times 24 times 60, and then divide it by 1000. So in 24 minutes, there should be 14,476.48458. Which is approximately 14,476, or you can write it as 3 significant figures, which is about 14,500 if you wanted to. Okay, this should be your final answer. Moving on to section 10. Okay, just expand this accordingly. X times x, x times -2, 1 times 2. So you get x squared minus x and then -2 first. So this is from your expansion of the first part. Repeat the same thing again. X squared. Okay, so you get x cubed plus 3x squared minus x squared minus 3x minus 2x minus 6. So your calculation will be x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6 as your final answer. Okay, making G the formula. So I will write G m minus mc first. This is by transferring this here. Then put all the g's together. Then take it out. So g's final answer will be mc over m minus 2f. So this will be your final answer for 10b here. Moving on to the simplification, you can take out 4, you can take out x. The balance inside should be x minus 4 from the numerator. As for the denominator, you can adjust it into this format here. And please take note, this thing here is your a squared minus b squared, which means you can expand it into x plus 4 and x minus 4 here. And then you will notice that there was things that's repeating now, which they can then cancel and get 4x, x plus 4 at the end. Okay, so this thing here should be your final answer. Moving on to question 11a. Okay, then they ask us to fill out this probability graph here. Late is 1 over 6, which means not late is 5 over 6. Okay, following the same rules. You can then, let's pay attention to the question now. Find the probability that Shalini is late on Monday, but it's not late on Tuesday. So late on Monday, not late on Tuesday. So the probability goes by 1 over 6 times 5 over 6. It should be 5 over 36 as your final answer. Okay, very short question indeed. And then we are now at part B now. Use set notation to describe the region that contains only one student, which means they are looking for everything other than G union with M, union with T. Okay, this should be it to represent the one that they wanted. Okay, part 2. They wanted G union with M. Okay, means that they are asking for this part here. And then intersected with everything other than T. Intersected means they are looking for the region that they overlap. So based on this calculation, we know that they only wanted the black and the parts where black and blue overlap, which is all this here. Okay. So with this cleared, we can now erase and then check what's inside. There will be 0, there will be 19, and there will be 9. So the total will be 19 plus 0 plus 9, which is 28 at the end. Okay, so that's how you sorted out part 2 here. One student is picked at random from the 50 students, and then probability that the students wear trainers but does not wear glasses. Wear a trainer but does not wear glasses. So for this particular part, they were trying to tell you that wearing trainers but no glasses. Oh wow, what just happened? Okay, the file just crashed. Okay, luckily we are doing section 3 now. Interesting. So to complete your answers here, those who wear trainers, you must remove out our glasses gang. So the parts that I'll be shading is here, but after excluding the students who wear glasses, I only have a few of them left, which is 17 of them to be exact. So my answer will be 17 over 50 as the probability for this question. Okay, students are picked at random from those who are wearing trainers now. So out of those who wear trainers, you have to figure out how many of them in total first. So 17 plus 4, there will be 21 of them. Okay, and then must have mobile phones. Must have mobile phones means that they were asking for this group that has mobile phone. So there was a total of 16 of them. So your final answer will be 21. Okay, 16 at the numerator, 21 as the denominator. Okay, kindly take note, it was mentioning about 2 students, which means after the first one being selected, there will only be 20 of them left. And then from those 16 who have mobile, now there's only 15 of them. So to run your final calculation, 16 over 21 times 15 over 20. So your final answer should be 4 over 7. Okay, so that's how you get this sorted out. And then we are arriving at the last 2 questions, then we are done. Okay, they gave us a positive value, okay, which means to find your tangent inverse. Okay, just key in 11.43 into your calculator. So for tangent to be positive, there should be 4 quadrants here, and it appears at the first and the third. Okay, how do I memorize this? It's actually all school teacher crazy. So just look at the initial. The initial represent those who is positive in these respective regions. So key in tangent inverse now. So your first answer will be this, which is approximately 85 degrees. Okay, this is tell you the results is here. And to find the other part, kindly take note this 85 will be reflected. So your second answer will be 180 plus 85, which is about 265.0. So this is how you get your question sorted out here. Moving on to section B, okay, sketching out the curve. So you can identify it by first trying to factorize it. Okay, and then you can further break it down into x plus 4 and x plus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, this will tells you the intersections here. Okay, the first one is x equals to 0, x plus 2 equals to 0. This will get you negative 2, and then x minus 2 equals to 0. This will get you 2. So there was 3 intersections to be exact. Negative 2, 2, and 0. So with this information, kindly take note that, okay, you have to check where's the turning point. So there wasn't any integers to indicate this for us, so I have to run my manual calculation by checking my dy dx equals to 0. Okay, so you have 3x squared minus 4 equals to 0. X will be 4 over 3, and then there will be a square root here. Okay, so your answers are 2 square root 3. So there was 2 intersection. Okay, the value was 1.15. Okay, so roughly plug it into equation. So let's say your square root 4 over 3. Okay, this results being cubed. Minus with 4x. Okay, then you get negative results. So what this tells us is that when it is positive, you have your turning point somewhere down here. So your graph will now, okay, so I couldn't confirm it yet. So repeat the same thing. Let's say I put negative at the front. Check what do I get. Okay. So you will get positive something now. Positive is here. Is that it? Should it be 3 turning points? Okay, I use cubic sequence to double check everything. 1, 0, negative 4. You have negative 2, 0, and 2. Yeah, these are only the 3 intersections. Okay, so I just sketch it out. It should look something like this. And then the thing went down, touches to 0 to this point. And then it should backs up. So let me do a recap. The steps goes by identifying your intersection first through factorization. Okay, put it equals to 0 to calculate their respective value. This will help you to identify the 3 intersection here. The next thing that I would normally do is actually check whether there's integers value or not. But here there wasn't any, which means I can't use that to justify my results. So I have no choice but to find turning point manually by differentiating this equation that they gave. I get to 3x squared minus 4, and then try to find out your answers, okay, and by substituting when it's positive square root 4 over 3 and negative 4 square root 4 over 3 into the equation. Okay, so this is how the overall graph would look like, and we are now at the last question. The curve has the equation of x cubed plus ax plus b. The stationary points of the curve are the following. So this would tell us that stationary point means we have to differentiate. You get 3x squared plus a here, and when 3x squared plus a equals to 0, you'll be able to find your coordinates of 2 and negative 2. Since that route lead me to nothing, I will try the other one by substituting 2 into the equation. Okay, let's say 2 being cubed plus 2a plus b, and see whether this will help me with my identification or not. Okay, so 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So I have k minus 8 equals 2a plus b. And this is when, utilizing this, if I repeat the same thing but a different value, I should get 10 minus k equals to negative 2 being cubed minus 2x, a 2a plus b. Okay, through this calculation here, you will get to 8 again, negative 8. So you have 18 minus k equals to negative 2a plus b. Okay, so equation 1, equation 2, equation 3. So I use elimination here by taking 1 plus 2. So you have k minus 8 adding up with 18 minus k. Then it will be 2a plus b plus negative 2a plus b. So this calculation here will help us to eliminate most of the troubling issue here. You get to 2b, b should be 5. So I successfully identified one of the results here. Okay, by having b as 5, does it help us with our calculation? Maybe I can identify my a now. Okay, when it's equals to 0, x squared, 3x squared plus a equals to 0. So we know that our x results was positive 2 and negative 2. So when I put it in, okay, you will get your a's results as. So regardless of whether it is negative 2 or not, okay, through your calculation, you will always get your answers of a as negative 12 regardless. Okay, based on our points here. Okay, so now that we have our a, okay, it was negative 12, b was 5. We have to move on to identify our k now. K will be 2a plus b plus 8. So 2 negative 12 plus 5 plus 8. You get your answers as negative 24 plus 5 plus 8. Okay, then you get your final answers of this as 11. Okay, so quite tricky question here. So let me recap the steps. So things that I did was to identify 3 equations from all the information that they gave. They told us specifically that stationary point, okay, is 2. Okay. So By identifying my 3x squared plus a equals to 0, you can then sub in when it's 2 and negative 2 for your calculation to identify a. Other than that, I use elimination between equation 1 and 2 to identify my b. And with a and b sorted out, you can sub into equation 1 or 2 to identify your k here. So that's pretty much it for this particular paper. So personally, I find this question 12 quite challenging. And then the other parts that students might struggle will be 9b if you're not familiar with area calculation. Okay, when it comes to pipes and stuff. Question 8, students might make mistakes like me as well about this cycle, a distance of 26. If you trying to play smart like what I did and then go and take 26 minus 12, you make the same mistakes. And the rest is pretty much identical. Okay, so the only question that might be challenging will be focusing at the second half of the paper. From 9, question 8, question 9, and question 12 are the ones that is challenging. So I hope you find this video helpful, and you have friends that are struggling, feel free to share it to them. And one last shameless plug here. If you're interested to join our group class, feel free to fill out the Google form attached below, and I will contact you further from there. Okay? Bye-bye. Thank you.